You switch from your email to your report, but your mind is still in the email. You feel fractured, unable to give your full self to the moment. This cognitive hangover has a name. Let's talk about attentional residue, this feeling, this cognitive fragmentation. It is the sensation of being in two places at once and therefore being nowhere at all. You are physically present. You are sitting at your desk. The report is open. But you are not whole. A significant percentage of your consciousness is still trapped in the previous moment. It is still analyzing the tone of that email. It is still formulating a reply. It is still feeling the small, sharp anxiety of that unresolved conversation. You try to read a sentence, but your mind is a scratched record, skipping back to the email. Or perhaps it's this. You end a difficult phone call. You hang up, take a breath, and turn to your child who is asking you a question. You look at them. You nod. But you do not hear them. You are not there. You are still in the echo of the phone call. You are replaying your words. You are litigating the other person's. You are haunted by the ghost of the last task. This is the state of people who can't settle into one task. It is not a lack of desire. You want to be present. You crave the feeling of deep, settled immersion. It is not a lack of effort. You are trying to focus, but you feel thin. Your attention is spread so wide, so thinly across so many moments that there is not enough of you to bring to the current one. You are living a life of constant cognitive echoes. You scroll a newsfeed for 2 minutes, and for the next 20, your mind is stained with the chaotic emotional residue of what you saw. You check one work message in the evening, and for the rest of the night, your mind is no longer your own. It is now a satellite tethered to the office. This is not a character flaw. This is not a failure of discipline. It is a cognitive condition. It is the result of a life that demands we slice our attention into 1,000 tiny, competing pieces. We are expected to switch contexts from analyst to parent, from creative to administrator, from friend to stranger in an instant. And our brains simply cannot. The mind does not have a clean off switch. It does not reboot instantly. It bleeds. The thoughts and emotions from one task bleed into the next. This cognitive hangover, this residue, is the name for that bleeding. This attentional residue, it is not your fault. It is a fundamental feature of the human mind, and our modern world is a factory designed to produce it. Let's deconstruct this. The mind is not a computer. It cannot just close a tab. When a computer closes a file, the data is gone. The processor is free. When your mind switches tasks, it is not closing a file. It is disengaging from an entire universe of meaning. When you were in that email, you were not just processing words. You were simulating a social interaction. You were anticipating a response. You were managing emotions, yours and the recipient's. You were in a world. To switch to the report is to ask your brain to perform an act of extraordinary violence. It must, in an instant, tear itself out of that complex social and emotional world and plunge into a completely different one. A world of data, analysis, and logic. The brain rebels. It cannot. It needs a transition. It needs a moment to decompress. But we do not give it that moment. We demand the instant switch. And so, the brain does the only thing it can. It compromises. It leaves a part of itself behind. This is the residue. It is the echo, the ghost, the cognitive open loop. This phenomenon is strongest, this residue is thicker and stickier when the task we are leaving is unfinished. The brain is a closure-seeking machine. It is designed to find answers, to resolve tension, to complete loops. An unanswered email is, to the brain, an open, aching wound. An interrupted thought is a cliffhanger. When you are forced to switch before you are finished, your brain activates a defense mechanism. It sections off a part of your consciousness, your active working memory, and dedicates it to that unfinished business. "We're not done here," it whispers. "Keep this running, don't forget." This background process, that is the attentional residue. It is your own mind trying to help you that is now actively sabotaging your ability to move on. And our world is a constant, unending stream of unfinished business. We are pulled from the email by the text, pulled from the text by the ping, pulled from the ping by the person walking into our office. We are never, ever allowed to finish. We are living in a state of perpetual cognitive non-closure. Now, let's analyze the true cost of this, because it is far, far higher than just feeling distracted. The first, most immediate cost is the complete impossibility of flow. Flow, that sacred, deep state of immersion where you do your best work, where time melts away, where you feel truly yourself, requires 100% of your attention. It is, by definition, a total absorption. But if attentional residue is clinging to 30% of your mind, you only have 70% of your consciousness to bring to the new task. If you are still litigating that phone call, if you are still composing that reply, you are not whole. You cannot achieve immersion with 70% of your mind. You cannot settle. You are, by default, operating in a state of shallow work. This is the source of that profound frustration. You are at your desk. You are trying to work, but you are just skimming the surface. You read the same paragraph 4 times. You write a sentence and delete it. You feel busy, but you are making no progress. It is not your fault. It is a problem of simple cognitive arithmetic. You are trying to do a 100% job with 70% of a mind. It is impossible. The second cost is far more insidious: emotional contamination. The residue is not just cognitive. It is not just the data of the last task. It is the emotion, the anxiety from that email you just quickly checked. It does not stay in the email. It bleeds. It seeps into the report you are trying to write, making you feel anxious about a task that is in itself neutral. It stains the conversation you are having with your partner. You are short-tempered. You are irritable. You are elsewhere. They are speaking to you, but you are not responding to them. You are responding to the residue of the email. This is where our relationships begin to fracture. This is where we feel out of control of our own moods. We snap at our children, not because of what they did, but because we are still carrying the emotional ghost of a meeting that ended an hour ago. We feel a diffuse, low-grade anger, and we cannot trace its source. The source is the layered, caked-on residue of 1,000 tiny, unfinished emotional tasks. Your present moment is being contaminated by the feelings of your past. The final and most profound cost is the fragmentation of the self. You are what you pay attention to. Your identity, your self, is a construct of where your focus rests. So, what happens when your focus is never in one place? What happens when you are, at all times, a collection of fragments? 10% in the past, 20% in the future, anticipating the next ping, and 70% barely in the present. Your self begins to fragment. You feel inauthentic. You feel like you are never really there. You are at dinner with friends, but you are not with them. You are playing with your kids, but you are not present. You are living a residual life. You are haunted by the echo of your own unfinished consciousness. You are a ghost in your own biography. This is the true deep exhaustion of the person who can't settle. You are not just failing to do the task. You are feeling on a profound level that you are failing to be. You are failing to be whole. This is the state we must escape. But trying harder is not the answer. You cannot force focus. You cannot just will the residue away. That is like trying to paint a masterpiece on a canvas that is already wet, caked with the mud of a dozen other paintings. You will only make more mud. The solution, the path to settling, is not an act of force. It is an act of cleansing. We have not just forgotten how to focus. We have forgotten how to transition. We have forgotten the sacred, necessary, and healing power of the pause. This pause, this is the act of cognitive hygiene. It is the missing, sacred step in our frantic process. We are obsessed with doing the next thing, but we have forgotten the art of finishing the last one. The pause is not an empty space. It is not a void. It is an active space. It is a cognitive buffer. It is the moment you give your mind permission to decompress. It is the moment you allow the ghost of the last task to finally, peacefully dissipate. This is not doing nothing. It is the act of letting go. It is the act of allowing the emotional and cognitive residue to settle so that the water of your mind can run clear. In our culture of fractured efficiency, this pause will feel like a transgression. It will feel like wasted time. It will feel unproductive. Your brain, addicted to the instant switch, will itch for a new distraction. It will resist this stillness. But this wasted moment, this is the most profound and necessary work. It is not an absence of focus. It is the precondition for it. It is the act of cleaning the canvas. It is the work of gathering the scattered fragments of yourself and becoming whole again. This is the after. It is the feeling of finally arriving. It is the sensation of sitting down to your report and being all there. It is the feeling of looking at your child and truly seeing them. It is the moment you are no longer haunted, you are no longer divided, you are present. This is how people who can't settle finally find their ground. Not by forcing their mind into submission, but by gently and intentionally giving it the space it needs to heal. The goal is to stop living a residual life, to stop being the echo of what you just did, and to be the clear, singular bell of what you are doing now. To be present, to be whole. This is our shared library of internal knowledge. The most valuable data is not in the tasks we accomplish, but in the sacred healing space we create between them. To help build this analysis, I invite you to share in the comments. What is the one ritual you use to create a clean mental slate between tasks? Is it a short walk? A specific piece of music? A moment of just breathing? What is your act of cognitive hygiene?